Hello and welcome back to another edition of Rent Money. National Championships right around the corner. The boys are excited. We got Texas Pete here, Old Chisholm, and Run It Back Jones, yours truly. We're going to break it down for you all. Talk about these semifinal matches that actually delivered after, lukewarm. Some people could say cold shower. College football playoffs, but we finally got some good shit here with the semifinals. We're going to talk about that. We're going to break down Ohio State versus Notre Dame. We all know Old Chisholm, ND guy. And then we're going to do a little bit of warm faucet and cold shower, talking about this year, this semifinals. Break that down for you. And, we're going to have a ball. It's the last game of the year. Holy cow. The last game has never came later in the year. January. We're deep into January. We're still talking about college football. We're fired up. We're pumped. We're ready to do it. Before we get to all of that, we want to do a little shout out to you, the listener. Sure. We usually do 2 ads in the front. We could fill one of this with some ad space, but we're not going to do that today. We're going to give it some ad space to you, the listener. Thank you for sticking with us throughout the season. Thank you for being a part of this journey with us. We couldn't do it without you guys. You guys make us feel, you fill our cup. Let's say that. Without you guys, we'd just be an empty cup of coffee. But with you guys, we're overflowing. So shout out to you. Shout out to the Pop Off Pod Network that helps make this all possible. Go ahead, listen to the Box Out Boys. I think the Popcorn Boys, all the boys are coming back here. Close the year strong with some good football content. But speaking of good content, there's a little something, a little show over there on NBC Peacock. Deal or No Deal Island. Texas Pete, tell us about it.
What an introduction for our presenting sponsor. Once again, on this week's episode, we love it. Love the show. So we'll do what they paid us to do here, and that is read their ad. Are you ready for the ultimate high-stakes adventure? The island is calling, and the drama is heating up. It's season 2 of Deal or No Deal Island, where the prize of a lifetime is just one risky choice away. Contestants face thrilling challenges, daring decisions, and shocking twists at every turn. Will they walk away with millions, or will they leave with nothing? With the mysterious banker lurking behind the scenes, the stakes have never been higher. Who will win it all, and who will play it safe? Are you ready for heart-pounding moments, jaw-dropping eliminations, and, of course, the infamous Deal or No Deal decision? Will you take the deal or gamble it all? Tune in to Deal or No Deal Island, Season 2, the game where the island isn't the only thing that's wild. Catch the new season on NBC Tuesday nights at 8, 7 Central or on Peacock the next day, and don't miss a minute of the action. Deal or No Deal Island. We call it Dondi here in Rent Money. Phenomenal show. Episode 1 of Season 2 came out last week. I watched it opening night. It is fucking phenomenal. The cast that they brought out this season is just top notch. I mean, you got characters left and right. I know Mr. Jones watches it. We're trying to convert Chisholm to join the Dondi Nation. I believe we will be successful.
I've been around. Joe Monge.
Exactly.
I'm a big Joe Monge fan. He's a fellow Steeler fan, so we
100%.
Paisan.
We used to room together back in the 80s.
We love Dondi, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but football season is unfortunately coming to an end. So fill that void on your TV watching week with Deal or No Deal Island. Thank you very much for sponsoring this week's episode.
We got some supportive misses on the show. We got, Miss Chisholm, Miss Pete, Miss Jones, wonderful ladies in their own rights. But God, they get excited when you turn on Dondi. I mean, there is just something about it. It brings all the competitiveness, all the action that you're maybe seeing on a football Sunday. But now you can talk about it a little bit too, And there were some likable characters in this episode 1. There were some hateable characters too. Holy cow. Ozempic Karen. I don't know what her name was, but she was something else. Excited to see what she has in store for us in episode 2. But holy cow, Monge is back. The banker's back. It's a chick this year. You don't know who it is or where she's coming from. Early prediction, somebody from Shark Tank. I feel like they're just going to loop that in. MSNBC, right? We got a lot to say. Shit, maybe next week you'll see us just podcasting about Dondi. We might just do it.
This might be.
We're that into it. This is one of those perfect, match made in heaven advertisements because we're real fans. We're real fans of it. So it worked out well. And if you're not listening in or tuning in to Dondi, if you miss it on Tuesday, when does it premiere? Texas Pete, Monday nights or Tuesday nights?
Tuesday nights, 8/7
Tuesday
Central.
nights. You can catch up on the Cock on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whenever your heart desires. So skip the ads on Cock, or you can watch it on real time NBC. It's a great show. But Dondi to the side, let's get to it. Woo! Boys. Ho. We're at the end. Some might say we're at the pot of gold at the other side of the rainbow. The way Chisholm's cheesing, he feels that way. A couple great matchups here in the semifinals. Both games were electrifying, back and forth. Good shit. I don't know where to even start. Maybe we just start with one of the games and go from there, and then we'll maybe hit the faucet in the shower in between and then preview. So let's start with Notre Dame. I mean, that was the first game, Thursday night. Took over my Thursday night. Notre Dame, Penn State, back and forth game. Maybe the best game of the season with everything on the line. Chisholm, I'll kick it to you. What were your emotions watching that game in real time?
Yeah, dude, it was a lot. It was a very, very intense game. It was kind of like, a really good confession. That's the only way I can describe this game. You came into this game with a lot on your heart, a lot on your chest, and you left with nothing. It was all left out on there, all on the field. It was kind of the epitome of this season. In our darkest moments, in our darkest hours, we continue to play the hand we're dealt. We continue to play the game, and that's just the story of Notre Dame football this season, post NIU. It's been a really, really cool transition to watch. I feel like any team, or at least the majority of teams, would kind of let that loss dictate the rest of their season. This team just didn't let it, and it was cool to watch all of that unfold. But I have to give kudos for sure to Penn State, more specifically to their defense. Abdul Carter is actually a freak. Oh my God. From an NFL fan perspective, I was watching this guy. He was playing at 70, 80% maybe. And
his arms were 50%.
Dominating, dude. And I was just sitting there watching him like, this is very Micah Parsons-esque. Not as much like a TJ Watt. He has so much more power. Like, he doesn't need to have as much finesse or worry about speed. He'll bull rush anybody. But then he just so happens to have that finesse too. So he'll be super fun to watch next year.
Real quick, interject. Abdul Carter is one of my favorite type of DNs because if you just look at him out there, he doesn't look massive. He doesn't look like he's just going to and then he just speed, quickness, strength. He's got it all. He was a problem all game long. He's wearing number 11, I believe, for Penn State, which is just a classic number for Penn State, kind of like number 9 for Notre Dame, I love it when programs in general just have numbers that mean something. Need more of that. But yeah, he was a stud all game. Well, on the other side of that, you're giving some kudos. You're being gracious in victory. Earlier in the year, I don't know if you were being as humble in defeat, but you're being gracious in victory. Tell me a little bit about how that victory made you feel. I mean, you guys were there. You guys are doing it.
It is wild. I honestly, TP, I keep thinking about your commens at the beginning of the year after NIU.
I love these Notre Dame fans because I love to hate them.
We don't forget. But no, TP was like, you guys should be worried about, directional state schools, but instead you're worried about national championships and college football playoff games. And it's weird because I agreed with you at the time, I was like, yeah, 100%. You're right. What are we doing? Why are we so excited about this team every year? And then they turn around and do this. At what point? Because I think it means more to the people that don't like Notre Dame that are now watching them and all right, fuck, I have to respect what's happening. At what point in the season did that happen for you?
I don't know if there was Texas Pete jump in. I don't know if there was a certain point, though, because they never played anybody that difficult, but they kept running the table. I got on the train, Chisholm. I got on the Newt Rockne train all across America. I got on it.
I mean, I could nitpick and I could be a dickhead about it and say, okay, you guys beat in the first round of the playoffs the most losing team in college football history, and then you beat a backup quarterback, and then you beat Drew Aller, who had the worst interception in college football. Fucking A, god damn it. Why does my laptop keep going out, man?
We can hear you, Texas Pete. You're freaking out. Well, hey, Texas Pete's still a little razzle-frazzled from the Notre Dame game.
And then okay. I lost my dude. My laptop is all fucking up. It's just ridiculous. I need to get a new one. All right, are we all good?
We're all good if you're a good boss.
And then you run into a Drew Aller who throws the worst interception in the history of the college football playoffs. So, like, if I wanted to be a dickhead, that's where I would go. But in all honesty, yeah, I mean, you don't just string together this many games in a row being a bad football team against, the caliber of athletes, no matter who's exactly lining up under center on the other side.
Absolutely.
So, like, I wouldn't say I'm on the bandwagon, but I mean, I'm definitely appreciating it at this point.
I'd love for us to take a quick look at this game from a chronological order, too. 10-0, Penn State's got a firm control of the game. It felt like it could have been a bigger lead at that point. Caps, why don't you tell us a little bit about just how you felt when we got the Paisan himself, the Italian coming to save the Irish, driving the ball down, and how big those 3 points were going into half.
Well, it's funny because I was having conversations with my brothers at home over Christmas about this exact scenario, and how next year there's a chance that Angeli could actually start for the Irish. Like, everyone wants to rule him out, wants to say CJ Carr is going to be the guy. We'll see. We'll get to that when the time comes. But it was awesome because he came in and he did exactly what he's always done at every level of the game. He shows up and he fills this role where he just understands the playbook. He has a very high IQ. He might not have the strongest arm. He's not going to be the most athletic, whatever. But the guy's going to hit his reads. He's going to hit his throws for sure. And he's going to move the ball down the field. And I cannot overstate the impact that those 3 points had. Mm-hmm. That was because
incredible.
Having it be a one-score game going into half changed everything, knowing we got the ball back at half. And what did we do? We scored.
Momentum's real.
And that was it. Yeah, that was it. Everything flipped at that point. And so for Mitch Jeter to have that kick too, going into half, like everything, the stars really did just align, because that was another thing I told my brothers over around the Indiana game. If Mitch Jeter's hitting kicks, this team will go far.
You gonna learn today, little Chisholms? You gonna learn today?
No, we talk a lot of sports in the Chisholm household. But yeah, that was it. That was it was that moment where I was like, if we're hitting our kicks, managing the clock, we're controlling time of possession. Notre Dame can beat just about any team, but if they can't do those things, then they're gonna lose a lot as well. So they just happen to control it.
Yeah, and I think that Angeli actually, I don't know if Riley Leonard could have orchestrated that drive like he did. He was hitting, the quick two-step dropbacks, boom, two-step dropbacks, and that's not Riley Leonard's game. We're going to get to Riley Leonard, too, because the second half was absolute fireworks, and I have a lot of compliments I want to praise Riley Leonard with.
First half was oof.
Yeah, maybe I will suck his dick, Texas P. I don't know. But Texas Pete just wants to jump in. He's been fiending at the bit to talk all week, and here he is having the time of his life.
Let's go.
Sergio Dip.
Right, sorry. Yes, sir. Yes, fucking sir.
No way. Did we just drop a Sergio Dip reference on the pod?
His diversity and inclusion has helped him get to this point.
And here he is.
You watch him now on the screen. Watch him on the screen.
Electric. Sorry, my tech is all fucked up right now, so I'm cutting in and out. But I heard you guys talking about Angeli. Absolutely electric moment to bring him in. 2-minute drill at the end of the first half. Give a spark to the offense. The Italian stallion comes out slinging through it 9 times as the backup quarterback coming in. That's freaking awesome. Get yourself on the scoreboard going into halftime.
And he went 8 for 9.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was dealing. And then that's like one of those moments that's like, I don't want to say it's like Team of Destiny type vibes, but like that shit happens to like the Chiefs. You know what I mean? Where Mahomes will go down at halftime near the Super Bowl.
Carson Wentz.
I think I honestly thought when Riley Leonard went down, I thought he had no idea what state he was in at that time.
Yeah.
Like he looked delusional. I was like,
Same.
oh, this dude's all loonied up. He's fucked. But clearly I was wrong. Obviously came out punching in the second half. But yeah.
And then, as we flip over to the second half real quick, I mean, what was that? The Jeremiah Love touchdown that capped that drive. I mean, all-time touchdown. The dude's just fighting, breaking tackles. He's not 100% either. The gritless Indeed team. It's pretty great. And I'll talk about real quickly about Riley Leonard too. The second half was back and forth. ND snagged that 17-10 lead. You felt like everything was good. Penn State comes back, ties it up, proceeds to then pick off Riley Leonard and go 24-17. At that point, the momentum changes from ND's out of this thing to scoring 17 straight, holy shit, to then Penn State scoring 14 straight. It kind of felt like they answered the bell, they answered the call, and now they're going to be able to, lock this one, ice this one away. And this is what I have to say about Riley Leonard. Both him and Drew Aller have a little bit of a baby face. I think Drew Aller's baby face really works against him. I do think that Drew Aller has baby face problems. If I was a GM of an NFL team, you just can't trust that guy, Texas Pete.
Riley Leonard has the worst baby face I've ever seen in college football.
Worse than Drew Aller?
Yeah, it pisses me the fuck off. Just can't stand it. Can't stand it.
I was
don't know if
team
it's a
Drew
uniform
Aller's
he's
baby
wearing
face
that's playing into
brutal.
it, but no.
But either way, Riley Leonard has 2 bad interceptions at that point. Has been playing his best ball. But this is a guy that's going to fall forward, very Colin Klein-esque, fall forward for every first down, really put his head down. He's a grinder. He's a gritty quarterback. Throughout this run, I've definitely gained a lot of respect for Riley Leonard. He's got a little Jalen Hurts in him too. He goes up to the podium, says some bullshit that he read somewhere immediately after every game, trying to motivate the troops. It doesn't work with the baby face that well, to Texas Pete's credit, but fucking A. he's got some shit to him, Riley Leonard does.
I don't know what it is, but you're right.
All right.
He does.
I got a question for you guys. Shout out my buddy Tommy. He's a diehard Notre Dame fan. He's been to all 3 of their playoff games so far. And he's going down to the national championship in Atlanta. So
he's got money.
I was going back and
Good
forth
for
with
you,
him
Tommy.
texting today. Was having this conversation. He really pissed me off before we started taping tonight. I posed the question, and I posed this question to him, and I'm gonna do it the same to you guys. How many Power 4 teams in the college football playoffs this season does Riley Leonard start on?
8.
Are you fucking delusional? Who's he starting over? 8? What are we talking about here, man? 2 absolute tops. Being, I'm not counting. Okay, so like SMU would be one.
Starting at Boise State, starting at
Iowa.
SMU. No, college football playoffs.
In the college football playoffs. Power 4, so non-Boise State.
Oh, I missed that.
I would
give
take
you SMU.
Riley Leonard over. I would take Riley Leonard over Quinn. I would take Riley Leonard over.
No.
I would take Riley Leonard over Aller.
No way in hell, dude. You're tweaking. You're digging yourself in a hole right now. That's just.
I don't think
no
you guys
shot in believing that.
understand how important it is to have a guy that when it's 3rd and 4,
He's a gamer.
everything's on the table. Everything's on the table. He can
I
run the
think
ball
that's-
or hit the quick
that's-
pass. The 3rd and 4. That's why the Chiefs are 15-2 this year. You mentioned the Chiefs earlier, Mahomes.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are 15-2 because they've been the best team on 3rd down in the NFL all year
Yeah.
long. Riley Leonard on 3rd and 5 and less, first down maniac. He also gives you some strong quarterback sneak vibes. If Texas had, we'll get to it. If Texas had a quarterback they believed in QB sneaking, they wouldn't be in the situation they found themselves in.
Riley Leonard would be a 3rd string at Texas, first of all. But if you think 8, who are the 4 that are staying then?
Riley Leonard might be a 5th string at Texas.
You know what? There's a lot of depth chart fucking
Not
professionals
Nico.
out there. There's
That's
a lot
for
of
sure.
depth chart professionals out there. All I know is I've sat here and watched the games, and
Yeah.
mistakes or not mistakes, Riley Leonard's been playing winning football at the end of the games. He's been
Yeah.
playing winning football throughout the games. Yeah, okay, you put him in practice, you set him down there, and you say, hey, drop back, and who's going to throw the most dimes in a bucket? Maybe not Riley Leonard, but you know who's going
No.
to fucking fight for that first down? That kid is.
Yeah, I think that's the issue with this too. Is like Riley Leonard is a running back at quarterback. Like they're very much so playing out of the Wildcat. He is just happened to have improved in passing over the course of the season, and he has just happened to have been able to deliver strikes, and he just spreads the field out more than anyone. So like, is he a better quarterback than anyone? No, but is he going to win you more football games, and is he going to give you more clutch drives or clutch plays, or is he going to, to Turner's point, convert that third down? Yeah, he's going to do that more often than not, more often than pretty much any other quarterback that is in the playoff right now, for sure, other than maybe Will Howard, but they haven't really used Will Howard in that way. And that's been when Ohio State is pissed down their leg, is when they refuse to use him the way that Notre Dame uses Riley Leonard, which
One
is
last thing I'll say
fucking
about
go get in there.
Riley Leonard, and I'll agree, he's not going to be the most pretty drop back, sit back passer, but we don't have a lot of great outside talent at Notre Dame. Not a lot of great receivers. The running back's strong. The O-line, I want to give a shout out quickly to the O-line. They were down 2 starters in the middle of the game. They fought through, and they came out in the second half down 2 starters and put their nuts on the table, frankly, with that drive to come out of half, running the ball.
Crazy.
Our
shout
out to the Des Moines kid, Eli Reardon. We'll give him a shout out. Moving bodies, getting some PI yards there around the end zone. But talking about great, maybe they don't have great outside. Chisholm, are you a Game of Thrones guy?
Yeah, I like the Iron Throne.
Well, we got Jaden Greathouse is probably the wide receiver number 1 for ND right now. If you were to put him into a Game of Thrones house, there's a lot of great houses in Game of Thrones. Which house does Jaden Greathouse belong to?
I would put him in House Tully.
Oh,
wow, good poll.
He's a scholar.
Yeah, okay.
Smart kid, really smart kid. Yeah, and he's a ladies' man. He spits. I don't know, actually.
He's from Austin, Texas. Caps.
No, he went to Westlake. Yeah, he's a bit of a dog. State champion.
Ladies, man.
You gotta be a real piece of shit to go to Notre Dame growing up in Austin, Texas. But
what the hell, man?
Into the game. Notre Dame pulled it out. Chisholm, one last time before we move on, I feel like we've talked in depth here about this one. Parting thoughts from this one, and when you really realized, Jeter, game winner, Drew Aller, Texas Pete said it, worst interception of college football playoff history. James
the most
Franklin,
unnecessary too.
Well, it was forced by pressure.
James Franklin.
And then this is where Mr. Jones is going with it, but James Franklin can't win the big one narrative, obviously beat to death by the media, but like you touched on it, he had everything going for him. Notre Dame's offensive line was getting hurt. The quarterback got hurt. They were all on the sideline. You were up 2 scores. It's like, and you still can't close that one. It's like, oh man, that dude probably hasn't slept since the game.
It is on. Like, at what point are we like, yep, that is
like
on
right there.
A little bit of like in memoriam. Penn State, Tom Allen, defensive coordinator, has left. He's moving to Clemson to go be the defensive coordinator for Dabo.
Wow,
that's wild.
That's a match made in heaven.
I think that Tom Allen just doesn't want to. He's old balls. I just don't think he wants to play the game. I think he just said, Dabo, you recruit them, they come out. We don't got new guys coming in. They're 3 years, 4 years guys. I think that Dabo, the first couple years of no transfers, I think it was maybe bad. I think he might find a niche being, he's zagging when everybody else is zigging.
Yeah.
We're big on that here at Rent Money. All right, let's move on. Indy's in the championship. Ohio State versus Texas. 28-24 was the final. But the game was much closer than the score was indicative of.
Yeah.
Let's just start here. If you told an Ohio State fan that Jeremiah Smith would have 1 reception for 3 yards going into it, would they believe they're going to be a 2-touchdown winner? I don't think so. What were you guys' impressions of this game? It was another good one.
I have such mixed emotions about Jack Sawyer. like as a man,
How so?
as a football
The
player.
pride of Ohio.
Like I want to like him, but also like you can't be crying about someone planting a flag, like literal tears. Like that's too much. You should have won the game. You shouldn't be put in that situation in the first place if you're moved to tears.
And Chisholm, you kind of sound like Texas Pete and I 5 weeks after Notre Dame lost to NIU and still bringing it up. That's what I'm getting from. I mean, Texas Pete and I were on the NIU train for weeks and weeks. I mean, Ohio State's 3 or 4 weeks removed.
I'm discussing the character of a man, not a program or a team. The character of an individual man. Actions carry a lot longer. So give me some credit there. I'm not. I mean, this is.
Do you think Ohio State fans appreciated those tears and appreciated maybe one of the best plays in Ohio State football history?
Oh, yeah. I know for a fact that they appreciated the play. I think it was probably a mixed bag. We're talking about people from the state of Ohio and men showing emotion in public. Like that's you're going to get mixed reviews there, give or take.
Mean, the only people that should be showing any emotion in a household.
It's the women.
That one was for you, Bordy B. If your phone's if your phone's not on the street already, you fucko.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Fucko. All right.
Thoughts from this game? Very, very surprised. Neither team rushed the ball particularly well. I mean, I guess that makes sense why it wasn't necessarily a high-scoring game. I mean, you needed to obviously scoop and score in the fourth quarter to kind of break it open there a bit. I forget what the total was on that game, but it was just only 42 points. So I'd imagine that the under hit, I think if I recall, is like 46 and a half. Kind of unimpressive performances on both sides, but maybe that's just because like the star power didn't flash in your face. Although Caleb Downs on the defensive front did look fucking awesome. I love when a safety's rolling down and is able to just make some noise in the box. That's always fun, or even behind the line of scrimmage. Ohio State's rolling. I mean, obviously coming off last 3 games that they've had, two games that they've had. Yeah. I mean, that I didn't have any major takeaways, although one thing I did want to address without kind of previewing too much of it is I think Texas did give a very good blueprint on how to stop the star receivers for Ohio State. I mean, Ibuka and Jeremiah Smith only had like 55 yards. So just something to consider going into the championship.
I truly think the more I reflect on this game, I didn't feel this way in the moment because Ohio State is such a wagon. I continue to look at the game as like, Ohio State, why are you not doing more? Ohio State, how are you not moving the ball? The onus for me was on Ohio State. Granted, that's where my money was at, so I was definitely being a little pessimistic about it. But Texas blew this game.
Yeah.
Flat and simple. The 80-yard screen pass, the 75-yard screen pass to end the half, that's just unacceptable. You can't let that happen. You rewatch that play. The weak side help from the safety and the cornerback is abysmal. They are not giving full effort. They're running towards the ball. They're taking no angle. Chris Fowler called it on the call. Great call by him. He has the ability to take it to the house, and he will. It was a great call by Fowler there. And then obviously the Sarkisian blow up. You got first down from the 1-yard line. You cannot be taking a ball.
Let's pitch it to the outside.
Not only are you pitching the ball, you're pitching the ball out of shotgun, which I don't know if I've ever fucking seen that.
Never.
From the 1-yard line.
Hated it.
You couldn't make yourself further away from the end zone if you tried without people being like, are they doing this intentionally?
What is the risk and reward? The reward's a touchdown. All your plays, the reward is the touchdown. The risk is negative 10 yards. There's only one play in your playbook that has that kind of risk.
That's like a set or a formation that you're able to run in September. You know what I mean? Against non-conference opponents, you can do whatever the fuck you want because you can just pick a hole and get in the end zone essentially. But like when you're doing that against Ohio State, whose front four is phenomenal, like what are you expecting here? Do you expect each and every one of your linemen to win their battles essentially? Like, come on.
No, not only that,
also,
I was gonna say,
Oh, no,
there's
I was
9
going-
guys. There's 9 guys right there.
Stacked. The
It's
one
not
thing,
like you're on the 30.
post, I'm going to rewind a little bit to the 75-yard touchdown right before halftime on the screenplay. I forget which running back scored it, so forgive
Henderson.
me. But Travion Henderson. Sark is being saved by the last bit of hair that he has left on his head right now, because he had such a stupid fucking look on his face. And that when the camera panned over to him after that, he would have been nominated, probably early nominee for the Hobo Penis Face Award of 2026, 2026 season. Just throwing it out there.
Early nominee for the HPF. Wow. Hobo penis face. Sorry. I mean, I think we covered this game. I still to this day do not understand why Will Howard is not running the ball more. We saw it when he got the turf monster. What was it, 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 around the 25-yard line? They ran a little Will Howard quarterback design run, and he was wide open. Need to see more Will Howard runs, especially when they're covering the receivers like they were. Ryan Day at times had Ryan Day face, which still concerns me. But 2 great semifinal games, and I think we covered them at length today here on Rent Money. Before we get into the championship game, and we might be a little, hey, it's easier to react than it is to predict. We're not all genies, but we're going to do some warm faucet, cold shower. And Texas Pete just so happens to be in and out. Not like the burger, unfortunately. There he is, the guy himself. Oh, here we go. Texas Pete, we were just talking a little warm faucet, cold shower. I know you've been waiting for this segment for months, for eons, for millenniums, whatever you want to say about it. Go ahead and just kick us off.
First of all, an all-timer segment that you can only find at Rent Money. So if you find another podcast doing a similar segment, they're probably copying us. Love warm faucets. Who doesn't? Turn that thing on, wash your hands a little bit. Even if you don't use soap, just go ahead and play around with warm water a little bit.
Rub a ducky.
And then you have a cold shower. I mean, I'll flip it to a cold shower, after a long day on the course or something in the summer to cool down. Just like the last 15 seconds is nice, but no one likes a true cold shower. You're biohacking if you're into that kind of thing, I guess. But
that was a little too much.
Warm faucet, good. Cold shower, bad. And
hey, for
the warm faucet.
Tough. Don't show emotion. Midwest male listening base. Biohacking. From Texas Pete.
100%. Warm faucet. Defense wins championships. Love the adage. Love the saying. You can repeat it to your grandpa. You can repeat it to anyone you talk to. But that rings true this season because we have the top 2 defenses in college football squaring off for the title. We have Ohio State, #1 overall defense in points per game at like 13.9 or something like that. And then you have Notre Dame right behind him at 14.1. So I think that's really cool. You love saying it. You can drop that casually when you're at your watch party on Monday night. Just throw that in there. A little snippet. Make you seem smarter than everyone else in the room.
What's your warm faucet?
That was my warm faucet. And I'll take an easy one.
What's your cold shower?
Yeah, what do you mean? That's a warm faucet, clearly. Cold shower. Football's almost over. Sad. We're obviously in the playoffs in the NFL. We're at the final game of the season for college football. I don't know if you guys discussed it already while I was cut away, but just an unbelievably sad time of year. So soak it in while you still got it. Bump your units up for this game because chances are, if you're football only better, you ain't got much left in you.
I got a warm. Actually, I'm going to start with a cold shower. Cold shower. Here at Rent Money, we're 3 guys of empathy. 3 guys that care about America, care about others. My cold shower is the California fires. While they may be warm in real life, they're cold in our hearts. We're going to give a little shout out, a little airtime to the people, over there in Southern Cal that are dealing with the tough times, the hard times that are going to come after the tragedy that are and that is the California wildfires. My warm faucet is online conspiracy theories. Never been a better day to be an online conspiracy theorist. There's a lot you can take away from these fires. What they could have been done to prevent them, what could have happened to start them. Ultimately, here at Rent Money, we just care about the victims, the people that have been impacted by these fires. But there's plenty of people out there that are really having a field day on the conspiracy side of things, and that's a major warm faucet for them.
Warm faucet, conspiracy theories, cold showers, wildfires.
Chisholm.
I got a couple good ones here, boys. I'm not gonna lie. My first one for warm faucet is childbirthing hips. So these are hips that women have that are wider in nature, and they promote healthier childbirth practice and form. And I find them really attractive. I saw a couple girls when I was in Florida that had them. And I just thought, man, I bet they go home to their men, and their men are happy. And it made me think of Mrs. C. And Mrs. C, wherever you're at, wherever you're sleeping tonight, come home. I miss you.
Wherever you're at, if you can hear me, I'm talking to you.
Please, I miss you. I miss you so much. I'm so alone.
Come home, please. Warm faucet. All right.
Yeah, warm faucet, childbirthing hips, cold shower, 3-putting for bogey.
Those aren't even related.
Yep.
But they're true.
Yep. On the topic, TP's birthday is coming up this weekend, so
happy early birthday, TP.
Happy birthday, TP.
Thank you very much. She sent me a gift, and she sent me a what do you want to call it? Like a putting mat. You know what I'm talking about? Goes like to out to 8 feet, has a little ramp to send it back to you. And she attached a gift note with it. So sent it to me from Amazon. She said, "Enjoy your gift. Heard you need practice. Hope this helps. Love you lots, Grandma and Grandpa." So my grandma is frying my short game on my birthday week here. I thought it was awesome. I broke it out already. It's an absolute blast to play with. But yeah, no more 3-putting. That's the point. I'm trying to eliminate those cold showers from my game going forward this year.
Here we go. I got a warm faucet and a cold shower for you all. But this is from the perspective of a married man on the couch. We're going to start with cold faucet. Cold faucet is Marcus Freeman's looks. I mean, holy shit, there's a real man. Everybody on their couch, their wives are glowing over this guy. Maybe for years they've been an indie hater. Now they're looking at Marcus Freeman up there doing coach speak out the ass. So much coach speak in his pressers. The guys were prepared. They were ready to go. We believe in them. But he's looking good doing it. And wives all around the nation are becoming aware of Marcus Freeman, and they're looking to their left at their significant other, wondering how I ended up with him. But you know what? For every cold shower, there's a warm faucet. The warm faucet is Ryan Day's beard. You turn on the football game, you get Ryan Day at the end of it, giving his coach speak. We might get into it a little later. That's a tough team, Lou Holtz. Ryan Day's got a terrible beard, worse than mine. And, their significant others are looking at him like, hey, could be Ryan Day. So that's the warm shower or warm faucet. Cold shower. There we go.
Don't worry. I got another one for you, Mr. Jones.
Faucet. I have 6.
Warm faucet. Football from the Midwest. I don't know if you guys saw the graphic going around social media earlier, but at every single level of college football, the presumed national champion to be or national champ comes from the Midwest. That's going to be, South Dakota, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin.
I like to jump
Michigan,
in on this
Indiana,
warm
Ohio.
faucet, Texas Pete. I feel like there is no region that's better when it comes to kids that should hang it up but don't than the Midwest. Yes, the South gets the 5 stars. Yes, the South gets the cream of the crop. But 5 steps below that is one kid that just wants to keep knocking helmets, wants to keep putting his hand in the dirt and rush the passer, or vice versa. Go and try and get a guy on the second level and block his ass. And that's the
I'll put my
Midwest.
name in this hat too, because that is right. We don't play for glory. We don't play for any. I mean, I guess in high school you play to lose your virginity, but then after that, it is truly just for the guts and the glory and the love of the game. And that is exactly why I always sat in the student section and just poured my heart and soul into that team every single year.
All right, yeah.
I was very content with being a virgin. It actually leads into one of my warm faucets. I'll get to it later. TP, back to you.
Mrs. Chisholm, come home.
He's gone. Yeah,
He's
my
gone.
next TP. Are you still with us?
Wait. No,
I'm
TP's
with
got to
you,
have
just not visually.
TP's got to have a shower though.
Yeah, where's your
cold
shower?
Just on the opposite side, the SEC just got absolutely dominated. I mean, we talked about it last week. They still had a winning bowl game record, but not in the fashion that they're accustomed to. So it's fun to dunk on SEC folk whenever they just don't live up to their standards.
I like it. For my warm faucet, excuse me, I'm going to go with saving yourself for Christ. It's something that a man and a woman can both do, as is the context of marriage, where they can both create a less tension-filled home for themselves and create an easier pathway to finding Christ within themselves and within their marriage, which creates a lot of fusion. It makes things really smooth and easy, which means that my cold shower is the UX and UI experiences that I have while on mobile versions of offshore bookie websites. It's very blocky. It's very unnatural. A lot of times buttons are too small. They don't mesh up well enough. It really does just feel like, kind of the polar opposite of saving yourself for marriage and saving yourself for Christ more so. So that would be another example of a warm faucet and a cold shower from myself.
Go again, Chisholm.
My next one would be the Guitar Hero 2 set list. These come with bangers such as Cherry Pie by Warrant.
Good one.
It's just a phenomenal set list. It really does bring in a number of eras and generations and legends of rock and roll that were honorable mentions, but not necessarily included within the first Guitar Hero set list. And so I thought it was a great chance for redemption and a great way for the people that played these games to have a better experience and become more knowledgeable within the world of rock and roll.
100%. Real quick to join in on that, the major warm faucet to the guy that is behind the scenes. Nobody probably even knows his name. That worked for Guitar Hero. That went out and secured the rights to all those songs. That guy, I want to give him just a quick.
I wish the soundboard worked on Spotify, but we have to do that manually from now on. The cold shower of that Guitar Hero 2 set list kind of being, known for, I should say, teaching us and having, proper technique of rock and roll is the levees that were built by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. The blood of Katrina and its victims is on your hands.
Couldn't have said it better myself, honestly. Yeah.
All right, Chisholm, what you got next? You got a couple more.
My next one is warm faucet. That would be overturned targeting calls. This is a big one for me this year. It's awesome to watch the whole team, the entire defense, rally around their guy, know that he's still with them, he's still in the game, and he's not going anywhere. They still get to get their guy back out there, and then it always pans. The camera always goes to the other side where you just see a guy who got his fucking bell rocked. His shit just got absolutely pushed in, knocked into next week, just trying to figure out where he's at. And it's just it's a funny reminder that sometimes the injustices of this world go unsolved, which is why my cold shower for this one is actually the television show or movie, I should say, The Siege of Jadotville, in which the United Nations improperly mistreated an entire brigade of United Nations. I guess that they represented the UN, but they were all Irish troops who properly defended a stronghold for the UN in Katanga within the Republic of the Congo, and they were treated as cowards upon their return.
That's a cold shower.
That would be the cold shower, yeah. The United Nations mistreatment of the Irish.
Shower.
The United Nations mistreatment of the Irish
thinking
people.
about it.
Yep.
Ooh, well, it should have ran up my spine.
Yep.
I don't know cold shower, but I got an honorable mention for a warm faucet, and that is going to be Jeremy Wade from River Monsters. He's always there for you whenever you're just scrolling TV. You can flip it on and have a good time. And then also a little 2-for-1 action, a little BOGO, the outdoor boys guy. So like, I don't know if you guys know, but
the man.
like, yeah, dude, he's Clip City. Anytime I come across it on my feed, I'm good for a 90-second watch. Just very entertaining.
You know, as a guy, cold shower is a guy that's maybe not executing on his New Year's resolution of reading more, as he goes to bed. Maybe a guy that struggles to fall asleep because, he's just rethinking everything that's ever happened to him in his life every time he closes his eyes. It's like, wow, why don't I was sitting at the bar earlier today.
Yeah.
Whatever. Waiting for a friend to meet me. And I was sitting there thinking, I didn't want to be the guy on his phone waiting for him. I had about 10 minutes to kill. So I was like, okay, here's 10 minutes of my own thoughts. And I had the thought of like, if only I could close my eyes and pretend like I was going to sleep right now, I'd be having the best thoughts of my life. At the time when I was sitting there, it's like, what do I think of? What do I do here with my time, with my 10 minutes? And to put this full circle, Outdoor Boys guy, he puts you to sleep real nice. He put on one of his 30-minute videos. You don't have to read to go to sleep. You just watch Outdoor Boys, 30 minutes, crush that shit. You're falling asleep. You're feeling good. He's the man.
Good. He's eating good out there.
He eats so good.
He's eating better than a lot of us out there.
Oh my God, he had some fajitas last night that I saw him cooking up.
I have another warm faucet.
Just go at the same time.
Off that one, warm faucet. Waiting for your friend at the bar, knowing you're about to have a good time, cold shower. That friend never shows up, which was the same case for Mr. Run It Back Jones tonight. He sat at the bar by himself. So
buddy.
No, that's
horrible.
Yeah, it is horrible.
Messed it up.
Yeah, Texas Pete was supposed to meet me. That's why he thinks it's so funny.
No. You're at home.
Oh, man.
No, but the company was had.
All right. Well, warm faucet. I was gonna say John Gruden when he does his "got me feeling nicey." When he does that gets me feeling nicey. That's a pretty nice warm faucet. I guess a cold shower would be the commercials where Sarah McLachlan comes on singing "In the Arms of an Angel," and it's just showing you puppies that are being like mistreated and abused. And it makes you just think about all the evil that's going on in the world.
I feel that.
Well, Notre Dame plays Ohio State this Monday in the national championship game. That's right. Neither of these teams got a bye. Neither of these teams won their conference. Notre Dame sure as hell isn't even able to.
Our conference is the service academies, and yeah, we won. We're the best service academy. Soldiers of Christ.
And here they are, head-to-head, Ohio State versus Notre Dame. I got to give the boys credit. We haven't been as on top of it of keeping track of picks here since we came back from our hiatus. But I do know that, at least myself, we had some of the picks pretty correct in terms of the teams. I think everybody went over 500 when you look at the picks. And now we got two teams, and it's hard not to, as a group of gentlemen that are pretty dialed in to college football, not look at this game and think about the game that Notre Dame played against Ohio State 2 years prior. An absolutely electric game. Ohio State came down to the wire and was able to salt it away with a game-winning touchdown with about a minute left. I have cold shower memories of this game because it took place the same time that Penn State won 31-0 against Iowa. But real quick, or not real quick, we can take as much time as we fucking want. We have all the time in the world. Notre Dame versus Ohio State. What jumps off the page for you guys? Maybe narratively, before we get to Chisholm on the muscle. Maybe narratively, how do you look at this game in the greater ether of college football? We got two legendary programs, and both of them are dying, starving for another championship.
I mean, what's jumping off the page to me right now is you're right. These are blue bloods of college football. They're absolutely premier programs that should be in the mix year in and year out. And if they're not ranked in the top 15 or 20 at the end of the season, it's an absolute bust. You know what I mean? That's the standard. Their standards are so far ahead of most of the teams that we root for. It's like we can't even comprehend. We're not playing the same game essentially. My video might cut off, so let me know if my audio does too. My laptop's acting all wonky.
Keep going.
No,
You
you're
look
good.
really good.
Pete, you're
Yeah.
good.
Keep
Yeah.
rocking.
So, anyways, I don't want to go too much into like the individual matchups and stuff like that quite yet, but I think this was a good matchup for the playoffs coming in for their first 12-team format. It shows that, hey, we're still going to have the top tier teams in the mix for a title. And that's kind of the way they drew it up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you want to give the smaller programs a chance to say, hey, welcome to the show, but like, we are the fucking show, pal. That's just kind of what it reminds me of initially.
Is that a Johnny Drama quote out of Texas Pete? Come on, Chisholm.
I am the fucking game, pal.
This is very much so for a lot of guys on this team. I was watching interviews earlier today. They were talking to Riley Leonard about, Marcus Freeman kind of showing videos and clips and things of the game last year all over their camp, their compound. And reporters were just asking him, like, Riley, you weren't here last year, but tell us a little bit about, the tension or, the extra edge or motivation that you guys have going into this one. And Riley Leonard looked him straight in the face and was like, guys, it's the national championship, whether I was here last year or not. If you need any extra motivation, if you need any extra anything for this one, you're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be in this game, this university, any of it that goes for Ohio State or Notre Dame. So, this is the best of the best. These are the top two teams as proven by the bracket this year. You could have arguments elsewhere. I'm happy to have those on another day, but the reality that we're living in is that either Notre Dame or Ohio State going to be the number one team. I also love the narrative of Marcus Freeman being the Ohio State alumni going up against his former alma mater.
True.
That's always a fun play, especially because this is his third year as a head coach. He was, DC for a few years up until that point. But I mean, think of Ohio State in the post-Urban era, hasn't exactly gone the best, or they haven't really done the most. And yet here you have Marcus Freeman at a school significantly smaller. Going up against the big boys once again. All of our fucking starters are hurt.
Are you trying to make this? Are you trying to do a nobody believes in us thing right now?
100%. We're 10-point underdogs.
Goliath.
We're 10-point. We're double-digit underdogs. All right, 8.5. Sorry.
No, continue.
They're 2-score underdog going into a national championship, and honestly, they should be. On paper, there's no way you could give Notre Dame anything more. And I get that, but also I think this game's a lot more even than people want to think it is, purely because of, I think that Marcus Freeman has shown the past few games now. He took a few stumbles early in that first half against Penn State. He's been coaching his ass off, and he's been out coaching the other sideline.
Absolutely.
You can out coach Kirby Smart. You can out coach anybody, especially the mental midget that is Ryan Day. I think that's an edge not many people are talking about enough, but that's the reason why this isn't like a 10-point spread.
Chisholm, real quick to your point, I don't want to stop your roll, but every single game Notre Dame has outperformed in the second half.
Yes,
Indiana maybe an outlier because they kind of salted that one away and just played it smart, but they've been playing second half football.
Adjustments at half. We're making the better adjustments at half than whoever we're playing. And that's just a testament to Freeman. It's a testament to the game planning to keep us involved in the game in the first half. especially with the injuries. That's the biggest thing. If the injuries weren't there and the injuries weren't happening, you could just be like, oh, he's a great recruiter. The talent's there. They got the right guys for the scheme, whatever. But the fact that the injuries are happening and there's depth, we talked about this very first week of the year, the preseason pod. Whoever wins this thing has to have depth because injuries are going to happen.
It's been happening left and right. You got to have depth. Chisholm, how have you been feeling? Or Texas Peak can chime in too. Penn State they were rattling off 14, 15 long drives.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that was a concern or more of a part of the game plan of like we're not going to let big plays happen. Which one do you think that was? Just like, hey, these guys can chip away at us, or was it like, hey, we're going to let them chip away at us, but the last thing they're going to do is go over the top?
Bend don't break.
Have they been a bend don't break defense traditionally?
All year. No. All year they have been. The entire year they have been.
Swarm tackling, I guess swarm tackling has always been a little bit bend don't break. I mean, you said it earlier this season. Midwestern core, Midwestern fan base, we love you. Iowa defense with better athletes.
That's how it's felt. Like the scheming is very similar. It's very pro blitz style. Coverage is very disguised and hidden up front. They're gonna apply pressure at the line of scrimmage and drop back. It's really fun to watch from like a coaching or a schematic standpoint if you're into that side of football. I will say for me personally, I don't have that much knowledge in this. It's something I'm trying to learn a lot more of. And so it's been really interesting and fun and refreshing to watch this Notre Dame defense in comparison to a lot of other defenses that I've grown up with traditionally in the Big Ten West that are just much more smash mouth, with the exception of Iowa.
Yeah. And the Iowa defense is always very base coverage, like the most bend don't break you could ever imagine. Like we're going to sit back and play basically a very similar scheme repeatedly over and over and over, and you're just gonna have to be better than us.
You're gonna have to out grit, out will, out muscle, all of those things, and that's why like the second half portion that you were talking about earlier, when Notre Dame's offense is humming and they're keeping the defense off the field and giving them time to rest and breathe, those long drives, those are the times that they happen, and we'll see how that plays out because Ohio State, if you let them have long drives, they'll take your fucking lunch. And like
TP, we've been pretty complimentary about Notre Dame. Why should we shit on them?
How much time do you have?
A lot. I got till Monday.
No, I mean, you get to the national championship game. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you know what I mean? You're a good football team. I'll say it. But like, I don't know. I just don't know if they have what it takes to win this football game in a variety of ways, if that kind of makes sense. Like they can't go shot for shot with Ohio State's offense. Like they just simply won't be able to sustain it. They don't have enough. They don't have the athletes on the outside to be able to break off multiple, 40+ yard touchdowns. And like, yeah, okay, if you break a run, phenomenal, but like you can't count on that as a shot play. You know what I mean? But I think ultimately what this comes down to is how Marcus Freeman's going to scheme it up defensively for Notre Dame. So I was digging in a little bit, read a handful of articles going into this pod before the production meeting. Notre Dame runs one high man at a rate that's like in the top, 5 percentile of the country or something like that. And they're very effective. So it's like, and then conversely, what I touched on a little bit earlier is the game plan that Texas had, which limited the star receivers on the outside for Ohio State, Nabuka and Jeremiah Smith. They ran a 2-high zone most of the time, and clearly Will Howard wasn't able to feed his stars in that two-high zone setup. So it's like, hey, I'm fine with that. If you're going into a national title game and you're able to limit, those 5 stars on the outside, that's an absolute win. But it's like, what are they going to do? Are they going to stick to their bread and butter, which they've been incredibly effective at all season? Or do they want to kind of take the roadmap and like take those chances? So I don't know. I mean, that was more of a defensive side of the ball, but that's definitely something I'm going to be curious looking at this game. And then another big stat coming at you here. Ohio State didn't blitz a ton this season. They blitzed a certain percentage rate that was about 83rd in the nation or something like that in blitz rate. But they were able to get pressure 41% of the time, which was good for 3rd in the nation. So their front 4 is able to get pressure at an astounding rate, even without bringing extra guys. So with a banged up offensive line in Notre Dame, it would be curious to see how they're going to handle that, knowing that there's going to be pressure. I don't know what Riley Leonard's numbers are exactly against the pressure. I mean, I'm sure in certain rights, being able to break to the outside and being a mobile quarterback, he's going to be able to excel. But also when he's dropping back and needs to make that on like 3rd and long, which I think I recall in the semifinal game, how the announcer was saying that Notre Dame converted at 3rd and 10 plus in like the bottom 10% of the country or something like that. So they can't find themselves behind the sticks. Yes, that's coach talk, but like it's going to be imperative, especially considering they don't have the athlete matchup on the outside offensively.
I do have concerns about Notre Dame on paper, and everybody does when it comes to facing Ohio State. On paper, Ohio State, since we started this podcast way back in early fall, Ohio State's been the best team on paper. The one thing I will say is going for ND is Will Howard. Will Howard's due. I mean, almost every game he pretty much throws one interception that's ill-advised. And I think that's got to be a turning point for Notre Dame. I get the 8.5 point favorite. I do.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're all in agreement. Even myself sitting here as a Notre Dame fan, I understand it, and I would honestly understand if it was higher too.
And it's hard. It's just hard. It's hard when you look at the math of this Ohio State offense. And that's why I'm still disappointed a little bit from their offensive performance against Texas. And I think Texas might be the best thing that's ever happened in Notre Dame. Because Texas has a defensive front that's considered the best in college football in a lot of ways. And I don't think Notre Dame's able to match that necessarily up front. But I do think in the middle portions, we've talked about it a lot. I don't want to be repetitive, but they do swarm to the football. They tackle well. God, I'm fired up for this game. I would hate to see it get lopsided. It's hard for me to imagine a game where it's lopsided in Notre Dame's favor. That's partially because of the way they play football. So I don't know if it could go that way, but I do think if Notre Dame can drag them into a situation where it's late in the third quarter and it's close, always there's a chance. Always there's a chance.
And then
if Notre Dame mucks, if they muck it up, if this game, because the way that Notre Dame is going to want to push this, because you're right, TP, like that's been the story though for this team all year. Like almost every game, they understood, hey, we're not going to be able to go and air it out. If we go down ever, it's going to be really tough for us to come back. The only way that they're able to really maintain or stay in games is by either they really focus on the turnover margin, I feel like. And this is why it kind of always reminds me of Iowa. If they can make sure that they're protecting the ball better than you and that their defense is forcing turnovers or at least preventing you from establishing field position, that's their brand of football this year. And so that's what their focus is going to be on. That's why it is a very much bend, don't break defense, is because they do force turnovers at a very high clip. They can get that occasional false start on offense too with some of their shifts that they'll do at the line of scrimmage. I think that Notre Dame's secondary is while they don't have Benjamin Morrison, they have proven themselves time and time again. They're young at the cornerback position with Christian Gray and Leonard Moore. Christian Gray does get beat over the top quite a bit. So I'm very curious who they're going to have him matched up on, whether it's Smith or Igbukah. I won't feel comfortable on that either way. But, I mean, Xavier Watts is as good as, if not better than, Caleb Downs at the safety position. Adon Schuler has stepped up in a huge way as a freshman this year. I feel very good about Notre Dame's defense. I wish we had Riley Mills at nose tackle next to Howard Cross, but we still have Howard Cross, and he's an All-American nose tackle as well. So I think this will be a dogfight. The matchup in my mind is Notre Dame's offense versus Ohio State's defense, because Ohio State's defense is so good. Yeah.
Can they move the ball? Can they slow things down? Can they make it a possession game? One thing I want to call out, Judkins and Henderson, Ohio State's running backs. both rushed for over 900 yards. I think they were both actually over 950 yards. So both over 950 yards, under 1,000. I'm just calling this out because if they both ran for another 50 yards, which I'm sure they would have been capable of if they were ran in some late game situations where they didn't need to be, that would be a major storyline. Hey, this is a two-headed monster. Both these guys have ran over 1,000 yards. There's not a lot of teams that have two guys rushing over 1,000 yards. But something I love about these guys is that Henderson and Judkins are like polar opposite in terms of personalities. After the game, Henderson's putting up his Instagram picture. You know, that's kind of part of the gig, right? With these college football players anymore. They put up their Instagrams, and Trey Henderson's Instagram's basically like a 3-paragraph long biblical thank you, Jesus. Here's this kind of different thing that I found resolution in, and how I felt closer to God during this moment. And then Judkins is wearing just straight grills, putting up one sentence Instagram comment that's might as well have been a Playboy Cardi lyric. So, you need to have a dual-headed monster of two guys that are just a little different from each other. I do think that Henderson, sans the mistakes he made last week, Henderson has a little bit better vision to me. When I watched Judkins play last week, there's a few times that he missed some holes, but they're both explosive, both very explosive. Go ahead.
I was just say, going on the two-headed beast at running back, Notre Dame just squared off against him in against Penn State and Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen. They were both 1,000-yard rushers on the season, and they did some damage against Notre Dame defensively last game. So they both rushed for 80-plus yards, good for like 4.5 yards per carry. So like clearly Ohio State has that two-headed beast in the backfield as well. So I'm curious to see if both of them are going to be able to eat. Cycling in, bringing in fresh legs. I don't know if they're going to do by a drive-by-drive basis or, however they want to however Ryan Day wants to sub them in. But definitely something I'm going to be watching there is going to be the backfield for Ohio State. And if you want to put the top on the defense, but you have your running backs running for 5 yards a carry, then you got to bring them down in the box, which just gives you a man on the outside to be able to exploit.
Another thing I'd call out is Jagusa is currently stated to be the starting left tackle for Notre Dame, back up after an ankle sprain or however you want to define it last weekend for the starter. And for a team that drops back and throws a lot, the left tackle is considered the most important position in football on the line because it protects his blind side. Michael Orr, fuck the Tui family. We all know they were scammers, schemers. Still a good movie, but that's a bigger problem for a team that wants to just air it out and spread them out. But it's still gonna be a problem. But Jack Sawyer, the pride of Ohio, from Columbus, 5-star recruit. He's been there for 4 years. He's had a pretty good career. Obviously, last weekend he had an insane game with the kind of game-winning touchdown or game-sealing touchdown. That's a matchup to watch. How often, Jack Sawyer likes to set up on the left side a lot. How often are they going to put him over to the right side and test the backup and get in there?
If I may.
You got something to say? Yeah.
Charles Jagusa was slated to be our starting left tackle preseason before he got hurt in camp. He was going to be our starting left tackle against Texas A&M. This is the guy that we talked about as like he just got hurt. Notre Dame's O-line is screwed, blah, blah, blah. I had no clue he was ready to play. He came in last week. He was playing at right guard, actually, getting his first reps of the year. He looked phenomenal in that second half. You guys saw how good they looked, right? This is the guy.
Torn pec.
Yes, this is what his injury was in the preseason. This is the guy that people were saying was like the next Joe Alt for Notre Dame. Like he was like the next guy up as far as the next big hoss offensive tackle that was going to go in the first round in a year or two because he's young. But I don't know, because to your point too, Turner, he hasn't played all year. He had some reps last week, and that was great for us to get him in there, but he was at guard. Now we need him at left tackle where he was supposed to be in the preseason. Is he ready to go? Because Anthony Knapp, he was the guy that played there all year. He was a true freshman, played his fucking cock off the entire season, dude. Like, the whole year, this kid just stepped up into a role, was literally in high school less than a year ago. And now he's, playing in the biggest stage. And Jagusa's got to step up and do the same, man. We'll see if he's ready. We'll see if he can hold his own. It looked like he was all right. But it is important to note that because on paper, right, that's what it looks like is, this is the backup. This guy's supposed to be the starter. So that's, to your point, going to be a very, very fun matchup. And opposite Jack Sawyer is Tuilamaka or whatever his name is. He's also a fucking beast.
Maka?
Yeah, the DNs for Ohio State are just as good, if not better, than Penn State, the next team. They're very similar teams. It's just that Ohio State is significantly better skill players on offense, and that makes them terrifying.
All right, let's get to the picks. Ohio State is 8.5-point favorites. The over/under is 46.5. Side pick, I will be taking all the Jeremiah Smith overs. After a game like last week, 1 reception, 3 yards, maybe they're a little bit deflated, and it feels like they have to get him involved. They have to make more opportunities to find this guy targets. He's been comped to Julio Jones. He's a guy that can go up and get him. So whatever the over-under is on Smith come to game day, I will be taking the over. Big-time players make big-time plays in big-time moments. Outside of that, we'll get to our actual picks for the games. Maybe they have some props as well. We're going to start with Texas Pete.
Thanks for tossing it over to me, Mr. Jones. You know what's fucking crazy about this transfer portal era that we're in is like you kind of, if you're the head coach of a star freshman receiver or skill player, you kind of have to feed into the ego. You know what I mean? You don't want to go into the offseason knowing that Jeremiah Smith got, 3 catches or whatever if he has a bad game in the semifinal of the championship game, because he is able to transfer out. And especially when you don't have that quarterback position locked in for the future and the rest of his tenure with the team. So it's like, yeah, I agree with you. They're going to feed him the ball, probably going to force feed him there a couple of times, which maybe could lead to a turnover or just like, one of those stupid pop screens at just the worst time.
TP, real quick, there will be a day where a Jeremiah Smith type will play for 3 different teams over 3 different years and then be the best receiver in college football, arguably all 3 years, and then go to the NFL draft.
Yeah, no doubt. Hopefully it's not soon, because like
in my lifetime,
Ohio State, you're at the pinnacle pretty much. Anyways, I was toying with this one for a little bit, digging into the numbers, like what I see in the matchups. I think ultimately what it's going to come down to is this 5-star circle that's going to be Caleb Downs. I think he could be the Riley Leonard stopper. I know he's not going to be the spy, essentially, but I think he's an X factor that could be unaccounted for in that aspect of Notre Dame's offense. Knowing the safety, he can come down into the box. He can come down behind the line of scrimmage and make some noise. So my first play is a fun one is going to be the Caleb Downs, Riley Leonard stopper, potential Mega Max Live nuke whale play. If I see him early in the first quarter, in the first half, come down and make a dummy play behind the line of scrimmage, I'm emptying bank account on Ohio State money line. I'm not going to get cute with the spread. I know they're minus 385 or something like that, but I'm dropping fat on that if I see that play happen. Otherwise, though, I will be laying the points on Ohio State 8.5. In all honesty, I'm probably going to take a cop out and buy it down to 1 possession 8. So if anything, I just know I'm not fucked if it comes into overtime. You know what I mean? So I'm going to be laying 8.5 on this game. I don't have a play for the over-under. I couldn't really necessarily come to a strong decision on it. I talked to the 2 worst bettors I know, and they both like the over. So keep that in mind. But yeah, we touched on a lot of important points this episode. I just think Ohio State's able to put a better product out there, although I could look like a fucking idiot come this time next week, knowing that I just, put a large size bet out on Ryan Day's offense and knowing that he's got such a punchable face. It's going to piss me off if I do bet on them and they lose in an extraordinarily horrible fashion. But I will be taking the Buckeyes here. First national title in the past decade. Last one was in 2014.
2020.
Not 2020. I thought it was 2016.
Pretty sure it was Fields versus
Fields did not win. Cordell Jones won.
No, Fields didn't win it. He was in it though in 2020.
They
right?
were in
was
it.
Ohio State,
But
Bama,
I'm saying
right?
this will be the first national title since 2014.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know which one of you guys wants to take it next.
I mean, I'll keep mine simple. I'm riding with the boys. 8.5.
Easy.
2015.
Yeah, 2014, 2015 season.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, sticking with them. They won me a decent clip this year, but this game is purely just for betting with the heart. I feel like 8.5 to your point.
How could he come out here and do differently?
I mean, I never do this, but it's, first time in my lifetime I've been able to ever make a bet on Notre Dame in a national championship. I'm going to do it. I'm going to hope to God that we, can hang in there. If it's a close game late, watch out. If it's, a 1-score game at half, watch out. But outside of that, yeah, sticking with the boys. Notre Dame, our mother. Pray for us.
All right, I got a question for you because we knew you were going with that way. What position group or what aspect of the game do you need to win in order to come out on top?
The Tullies.
And I'm not saying you're building your game plan around it, but like these guys at this position need to win their one-on-one battles.
I mean, offensive line.
Linebackers.
I would say the offensive line has to be able to establish like a little bit of a run game, like 15 yards rushing the first half against Penn State. We cannot have that against Ohio State. I think you have to set the tone with the run game because that also is what opens up the pass for Riley. Like you need to get all 4 horsemen running the ball. Riley, Jeremiah Love, Janarin Price, and Nice Williams, who, by the way, true freshman out of Hannibal, Missouri. He looked kind of nicey against Penn State. A couple of big-time catches, a couple of big-time runs out of him. How about it? Running back factory? Is Notre Dame becoming a running back factory?
We're going to go Ohio State, 8.5. It's just hard not to. I've been riding the Buckeyes here. I might even hedge that with a Notre Dame money line, to be honest, because there's just so many. Yeah, don't laugh, Texas P. I mean, there's just so many different variables. I feel like if the game's really close down the stretch, I start to question a lot about Ohio State. Kind of a fluky finish, if you ask me, last weekend. There's no reason why Texas shouldn't have been able to put that ball in the end zone. But with that said, Ohio State has so many factors that can lead to a blowout. And then if you don't get the blowout, once again, on that side of the ball. The over-under, on the other hand, is a freaky one, a super freaky one. If you're believing in Ohio State, I think you just got to go with the over again there. But the Notre Dame Penn State game has sent me in a spiral. I was so happy and feeling so good about the under. And then next thing you know, it's like both teams forgot to play defense. Both teams now are filling it up.
5 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
What the hell happened? I was counting my chickens before they hatched on the under for sure. So I'm not going to put an official play out for that one. That one's just, feel it out, see where you're going. If you're betting Indy, bet the under, I think, right? If you're betting Ohio State, bet the over.
Yeah.
Do you disagree with
31 points in the fourth quarter?
Yeah. I don't know. This style of ball is different. Like playoff football, you can't.
They've been playing different. They've been playing tight. They've been playing tight, and they've been playing very. I mean, everybody's beat up, right? Everybody's playing hard. Everybody's laying wood. It is different.
Notre Dame's not going to be the team to step on a throat in an Natty. Ohio State is. That's what I will say. So
I will agree with that. Notre Dame will try and salt it away with some just good, hard-nosed Kirk Ferentz-like football, and that's what they're best at. That's
how we guarantee victory. If we give you the ball back, if they give Ohio State the ball back really fast, all you're doing is just letting them score or giving them a chance to do so with the high-powered offense they have. So you're going to want to hold on to the fucking rock. You got to run the clock out. That's
I disagree.
if you're Notre Dame, that's how you win. If you're Notre Dame,
Notre Dame guarantees victory through our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
well,
No matter the outcome
through
of the
all
game.
things, yes, through all things, yeah.
Yeah.
And we intercede through his Virgin Mother. Trust me,
Fucking
very familiar.
All right,
Very familiar.
this has been just an awesome discussion we've had on this game, but also,
Yeah,
what do you guys think of the national title game being on Mondays? Should they
always
change it
hated
to the
it.
weekend?
Always
Hated
hated
it
it.
still?
I think,
Okay.
dude, you know what night I think we don't talk about enough, and this is a big, big like mantra for 2025 for me. Thursday nights. I think Thursday nights they're the new Friday. Thursdays are fucking awesome. Like Fridays are just so chill at work for everybody. I feel like everyone's kind of hungover a little bit, or everyone's getting ready to be hungover. So like if you know you're going out Thursday too, you're gonna have a couple of drinks, maybe watching football. Your mood at work that day is so much higher. Your mood at work on the Wednesday is higher, knowing that tomorrow is Thursday.
Yeah.
Like your week feels shorter. It feels more condensed. You just have to get through Tuesday. That's it. Tuesday is the worst day of the week.
Yeah, agreed.
But
Tuesday,
but
Wednesday,
Thursday,
for sure.
I think Thursday could be a big day for college football. I think maybe that's where Prime could go. That's the direction Prime could start moving in. Chock full my Saturdays and my Thursdays with like a bunch of football, and then give me Sunday and Monday for NFL all day. Like the afternoon slate would be electric for Red Zone. If there was no Thursday night game and you just were in college.
Fuck. I love college football, boys. What a year.
Man. I'm going to miss it.
What a year. I mean, real quick, put it out there. Texas Pete and I are on the state. Chisholm's got the Notre Dame jacket on. He's on Notre Dame. I would trade whatever I bet on Notre Dame as long as it's a good game. Or Ohio State, as long as it's a good game. I mean, it's been good games down the finish. I would love for this season to be cherry on top, back and forth game. I can't say I love either team winning, personally, but whoever team wins, they'll be well-deserved. Well-deserved. 4 games out of each of them down the hardest stretch of the season. Injuries and all. It's been a hell of a season. One thing I am going to miss this year, and maybe we can all walk around and say what we're going to miss. I mean, we're going to miss a lot about college football. We're going to miss our Saturdays. We're going to miss our, as Chisholm said, our Thursdays, our everyday Mondays this week. I'm going to miss Kyle McCord, committed to the NFL draft. A big hit to Rit money when we're back next season. It's soul crushing, but hell, boys, it's been a journey. It's been a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun. I wouldn't trade it for anything else in the world. I love college football. I love you boys. Thanks for everybody that's tuned in for the whole hour and a half or however long this shit ran and has listened to us to the end. We appreciate you. It's been a blast.
I'm gonna miss hopping on this pod every week with you boys. We're running 3.5 months strong now. It's an absolute blast.
It's a bond, man.
It's a bummer, dude. It's a bummer. Now tune in for the Pop Off Podcast Dondi presentation we got coming up for you. But
we'll be talking a little bit of golf too.
Yeah, we'll be around.
Stick the plugs in at the end.
Your feed. We'll see if it's week in, week out. We'll be around, but
stick the plugs in at the end. One thing that I think we touched on a little bit earlier in the beginning of the season was like your favorite aspects about football being back type thing. So like I'm just going to kind of turn that around into what I'm going to miss most is like those early in the season college football Saturday mornings, scheming up with the boys in the group chat. Like you got a sunny day out. It's going to be beautiful. You're able to hit any bar, indoor or outdoor, and have an absolute blast. But when you come down the stretch and the weather starts changing, it's like that's when the games start to ramp up. So you bring the watch parties back to the house or the apartment that you live at, as opposed to out to the bars. So it's a good natural, kind of change in between on what we do in the college football season. But one thing that stays consistent is your good friends and hosts at Rent Money. We'll be coming at you every single week of the college football season coming up, whether it's this past season, this upcoming season. We'll be here for you guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Obviously follow us on all socials and, interact with us. We absolutely love it. We live stream on X to Everything app. So if you ever have any questions during the show, I typically peruse the comments on our live stream. So feel free to shoot it over to us. I know we had a handful of devout listeners who were tuning in every single week, posing us questions. So we definitely see and appreciate you guys, and just want to thank you.
Name another podcast that gets as excited about their listeners as this one. You can't. Chisholm, please, with ado, please just do your thing and take us away, my man.
A couple things I'm going to miss. Number one, shout out to TP's hometown boy, Biff Poggi. We're going to miss him. He is no longer in the realm of college football. Also, still miss him every day. We're going to keep missing him, though. Ben Herbstreit. Not sure how we feel about this Peter guy yet. Yeah. But Ben, we'll miss you, buddy. You're a good friend of the pod. Keep in mind, folks, this is a pro Nico pod. It is a pro Dondi pod. It is a pro Akshay Bhatia pod. More to come on him here in the coming weeks. Apparently, we're also very much a pro Guitar Hero pod. More to come on that as well in the near future. Potential draft opportunities. Hope that you guys enjoyed getting wet with us during our warm faucet cold shower segment. Make sure you guys dry off before you guys grab your cell phones, fire off a couple of text messages, let your loved ones know that you're all dried off, safe and sound, getting ready to get all tucked into bed. And before you fall asleep, make sure you text your bookie and let them know that we say hi. Love you guys.
Wow, dude.